What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this special edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Thomas, bringing you another edition of the Thomas Take. And in case you didn't tune in earlier today, I broke down the aftermath of Floyd Money Mayweather versus the notorious one Conor McGregor, and also stated the next three possible opponents in the career of Conor McGregor. Tune in, find out who I believe could be the next three opponents that Conor McGregor could face in his fighting career. So, that being said, I wanted to hop on the mic here late tonight. We're at 11:30 here on the Thomas Take, and I wanted to kind of go over a couple things, in the aftermath of this fight that kind of puzzle me, between the talk of the town, the talk between the fans of boxing, the talk between the mixed martial arts fans. And realistically, I feel as if this is a topic that needs to be said by me. I feel like I'm the only guy with the guts to say it. But when you ask yourself who is the best of all time in terms of boxing, there are so many names that come to mind. Obviously, the first name that should come to mind is Muhammad Ali. He gave everything to the sport. He gave everything to the world in terms of his acts to really bring the world together. And he was a civil rights activist. He did what he needed to do for his people. And I think he represented the Muslim religion unlike any other, before or after. In terms of a prominent athlete, taking a stance, what he stood for as a man, I think is unprecedented in sports history and is unprecedented in human history. So, outside of that, in terms of his acumen as a boxer, obviously one of the best heavyweight boxers of all time, and for in my estimations, I think he is TBE, the best ever. There's so many people now that with this 50th win, the 50th victory out of 50 fights for Floyd professionally, 50-0, stating that because of the 50-0 record that Floyd is the best of all time. And that's not the case. It's not about the record. It's about cultural impact. It's about significance to the sport. Did Floyd Mayweather make an impact on boxing? 100%. Did Floyd Mayweather have a fantastic career? 100%. 50-0, can't debate that. The record is what it is. But did Floyd Mayweather take on all comers while each fighter was in their prime? Did he fight the most dangerous opponents at their pinnacle of their careers? No. Floyd Mayweather was able to master the art of business in the sport of boxing. It's well known. He created a brand for himself. He became his own boss, made billions in the sport of boxing. Not millions, billions in the sport of boxing. So, good for him. That in the business aspect of it, he's the best businessman that's ever laced up a pair of gloves, laced up a pair of boxing boots, you name it. But when I think of who the best fighters of all time are, I think of Muhammad Ali, I think of Sugar Ray Leonard, I think of Roberto Duran, I think of Thomas Hearns, I think of Marvin Hagler, I think of Mike Tyson, I do think of Evander Holyfield as well, Joe Louis, so many names to think of. And Sugar Ray Robinson, I could go on and on. And none of those names are Floyd. I'm not saying that Floyd doesn't belong in those names, because he does. But to say out of all those names, Sugar Ray Robinson was fighting every 3 weeks, fought Jake LaMotta 6 times, beat him 4, I believe. So, there's other fighters and other eras that really made boxing what it is today. And boxing what it is today is a shell of itself. And realistically, if we want to be honest with ourselves and really look at the situation at hand, boxing is thankful that Floyd is finally out of the sport. They weren't begging for him to come back. Nobody was on their high horse saying, "Hey, Floyd, we need you to come back." That wasn't the case. The fans demanded the Conor McGregor matchup. The MMA faithful demanded that matchup, and they got it. And that just proves in itself the contingency of MMA fans has only risen and is only going to continue to grow with the rise of Conor McGregor, with the easy access that fans have to the sport of MMA, with the variety of events that they have month in and month out, week in and week out, I could almost say, and the fact that it is more engaging than boxing. The UFC has found a way to engage the fans in ways that boxing has been unable to the last 10 to 15 years. And that's why we've seen an uptick in the popularity of MMA, and that's why we've seen a little bit of a downtick in the popularity of boxing. So, all that being said, I have a real tough time labeling Floyd Mayweather the best ever when this man took 8 years to fight Manny Pacquiao. Did he fight him? Did he win? Yes. But let's be honest, when the people clamor for a fight is when it should happen, realistically. And 2008, 2009, I was a sophomore, junior in high school, big fan of both Floyd Money Mayweather and a big fan of both Manny Pacquiao. And knowing that these were the two best boxers on the face of the earth, Floyd Mayweather coming off a win versus Oscar de la Hoya, it was a split decision. Who fought him next? Not Floyd, it was Manny Pacquiao. So when that happened and Manny was able to easily destroy De La Hoya, being that he was damaged goods because of Floyd, that was when the real chatter started to happen. Hey, why not have these two prime fighters fight each other? Oscar De La Hoya was the end of one era. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao were the beginning of a new era. And for them to go 8 years without fighting each other, you can blame Mayweather's side and Pacquiao's side. I don't try to place the blame on one side. I'd blame both. And realistically, the fans of boxing, the diehard fans of boxing, were really wronged and really they were wrong. They were just really short-sighted, just backhand slapped in the face for the terms of the fact that this fight did not happen for 8 years after the fact it was originally discussed. So at that time, Manny Pacquiao had already come off a devastating knockout loss to Juan Manuel Marquez. Floyd Mayweather was really looking to cash in. He did, and he did win the fight. So more power to him in that, but I would have liked to have seen that fight when both fighters were in their prime. I also would have liked to have seen Floyd Mayweather fight Canelo Alvarez when he was more in his prime. Canelo at that time, very green fighter. Sugar Shane Mosley was way past his prime at the point Floyd fought him, and it was an easy pick'em fight that most knew Floyd would beat him. I mean, it was to the point where Shane Mosley was on a steep decline at that point. So, that being said, Floyd mastered the art of business in terms of the sport of boxing, and I think that is a key contributing reason as to why Floyd was able to go 50-0. Had he had a Dana White like boss, where the Dana White boss would have sort of made him fight the fights that were the toughest challenges for him, he probably would have fought Manny Pacquiao in his prime. He probably wouldn't have fought guys like Marcos Maidana and guys like that before fighting Manny Pacquiao. One thing about the sport of MMA and the UFC is that it has been controlled by presidents. There are presidents and CEOs within the company. It's an organization that has a controlling interest in what goes down in terms of fights and how matches are made and how fights are made, I should say. And that has been a success in the sport of MMA in comparison to boxing. Boxing is trying to recapture that with the Premier Boxing Championship, but I think there definitely needs to be better fighters on that staple. Golden Boy Promotions is doing a fantastic job. September 16th, you got the biggest fight in boxing, I think, in 2017. The pay-per-view numbers might not say so, but come fight's end. But the fight that means the most to the actual sport of boxing, Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. This fight was supposed to happen in 2015, and it did not. And now we're going to finally get it. And that's something that fight took 2 years to make. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather took 7 to 8 years to make. So realistically, I mean, it's very tough. It sounds ridiculous to critique a guy that went 50-0, that had 27 knockouts, that was an Olympian. I'm not taking anything away from Floyd Mayweather. I'm not trying to say that he's not one of the best ever. Definitely one of the best tacticians in the boxing ring, one of the best defensive fighters in the history of boxing, one of the best counterpunchers in the history of boxing. But I don't think he fought over the course of his career the best when they were at their best. I think he fought fighters when they were either before their prime or after their prime, and he never signed on the dotted line for a fight that he thought he could lose until the final one, where there was some people out there saying that he could lose this fight to Conor McGregor, that it was a huge gamble, that it was a huge chance, and he took this chance, and the first 4 rounds, in my estimations, he lost. Going into the 10th, I did have it 5-4 Floyd, but I did mention to the people that I was watching the fight with that it would be over very, very soon, and Floyd was able to finish it off. More power to him, but when they say that the chance you took in your career was versus a MMA fighter rather than that of a boxer, that just proves that you never fought anyone when they were in their prime. You only fought boxers when they were out of their prime or before they were in their prime, when they were too green or when they weren't in their prime anymore. And really, Marcos Maidana had those 2 fights with Floyd, and that was it. He retired after that. Shane Mosley bounced around a little bit, but he retired after that. I think Shane Mosley stuck around way too long. And Victor Ortiz kind of fell off the face of the earth. He's trying to get a comeback going. Ricky Hatton, I always call him Ricky Fatten. He's probably a heavyweight right now if he were to get back into boxing. But realistically, it is what it is. And I do think that Floyd is the best fighter of his generation. I don't want to take anything away from him, but to say he's the best ever, TBE, I think that's a little extreme. I think of guys like Muhammad Ali. I think of guys like Joe Louis. I think of guys like Sugar Ray Leonard. I think of guys that were pillars in the boxing community, guys that did things for others, contributed to other communities, and I did not see that from Floyd Mayweather. It is the little things. The little things do count. It is more than a record. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in Wednesday as I go over the catastrophe that is the 2017 Buffalo Bills season thus far.